Hi, I just started recording and must hold this book straight so that you can see. But either way, I am going to put this in the title in my description. Good evening, I'm Peggy Ang. So today I will finish the whole 3 chapter because I have the time today. Previously, I've been reading 1 chapter, then I feel that I can read faster and I have proceeded to read 2 chapters. Now on part 3, it is looking very interesting. And on the part 3, I only have, let's say 16 to 18, we're talking about 6 chapters. And thank you to the author, Will. He has written it so excitingly, even for the first 2, part 1 and part 2. And I have not read this book. So this is the first time. So you must have experienced some hiccup when I'm reading that, especially when there are some jargons or words that is a tongue twister for me. So please excuse me, and then we will continue with part 3 after the event and following up, which start from chapter 12. Part 3 is chapter 12 start. Reviewing your new connections. Next morning, this is after the event. So next morning at 9:13 a.m., Brian was saying, hey, that was a good do last night. Boy, am I glad I went. Right, let's put those business cards in a drawer and I'll deal with them this afternoon. Down to work. Will responded, morning, Brian. Will here again. Can I give you some advice about what you may consider doing now? Even if the event was worth attending, the next morning might not be the right time to review your new connections, as you have your own business to look after. But as you should know, by now this is when most people get it wrong. They fail to plan the follow-up. Take action immediately after the event. Don't put those business cards you collected in the drawer. Instead, here's your to-do list. Put calls in the diary. Number 1 is put calls in the diary. This is the very first action to take. To call a prospect, in this case, Eva, put it in your diary as if it's an appointment with an existing client. Don't forget to record all their contact numbers, highlighting the one they agreed you should use. I also make the same mistake because especially when I'm carrying a handbag, then with so many compartments, then suddenly I just placed the card somewhere and then I came back and then I placed somewhere and then I was looking high and low for it. But the best part now is you can straight away ask for the number if it's agreeable by using WhatsApp. Or can I give you a missed call so that you have my number? Or you can also ask, is it convenient for me to take your number now so that it's easier for you to key into your phone to avoid unsolicited call. These are the things that you can do now. When he was writing this, that time, it wasn't so convenient. Number 2, send a note or email. If the contact date is no longer than 5 working days away, send a note or email saying how much you enjoyed the meeting the person, and as promised, you will call them on the agreed date. In this case, as it is only 3 working days, you won't need to call. You need to decide the best time for the first contact for each separate occasion. Number 3, secure the card information. Losing the card will mean you lose all the information you gain. Either enter all the details into your database or staple the card to a blank sheet of paper ready to make the call. If you know the name of the prospect receptionist or secretary, make a record of that too. What I do in this case was I take the card, then I will write down the time we met, I mean the date and where we met. So when I speak to them, then I know which event I met them. I have a friend who go another step further. He will draw on the card his own style, how he identified the person, whether with a mustache, a lady with big earrings. So it's how you want to do it. So you can always write on the card. If the person is in front of you, you say, excuse me, I just need to note down certain details on the card so that I can follow up efficiently. Normally they don't mind, okay? And after I've done that, I will put into my phone, record, and it's easier nowadays because you have details like company. You can even snap the business card, or at the company, you put in the company name, where you meet, what event, what you spoke of. Is everything in your phone available there. You can always make use of that to the fullest. Number 4, remember the facts. Annotate all the cards of the people you meet with all relevant information, where you met, when, what type of event it was, any physical features you may be useful to help you remember them next time you meet. Make a note of any useful piece of small talk to use as a bridge to the next step. Well, I just mentioned this prior, so I'm glad that he also do this. He have recommended the same thing. Number 5, note the words they use. What gave you the sign that there might be an opportunity? Making a note of this will help one day in the future. The aha moment hits you generally from just one sentence. What was it? 6, remember the gatekeeper. Most people have a pessimistic view of talking to gatekeepers, but change your thinking. When you treat the gatekeepers with respect and courtesy, they often revert from gatekeepers to gate openers. Many of them are influential people, so treat them properly. It's important that you start building ties with this key person in the chain. You're not just networking with your new connection, but also with their connection, which includes the company receptionist and secretary. It is a critical part of the process, particularly when the prospect is hard to contact. Chapter 13, reconnecting by phone. The following Wednesday, Brian was saying, what's on today? Just 2 internal meetings. No business lunch and off early to play golf. Good, nice, quiet day. We'll come back and say, good morning, Brian. Can I ask you to look a little closer at your diary? It's good, I still remember Brian's schedule. Once the event is over and back to work, it's easy to lose the impetus to keep up with your new connections. But if you have made an appointment to call someone, it's really important you follow through. Relationship building early on in the process is all about showing you are reliable and trustworthy. Don't rely on the idea that they'll remember you, thinking that if they want to get in touch, they will. You're the one that spotted the aha moment. You're looking for new opportunities and the client, so it's your business to ensure it happens. If you don't follow up, you risk being a networking criminal and are guilty of the crime of wasting time. This is the 7th stage of networking pipeline called making calls. It's your time to grasp the opportunities you spotted and make the most of those aha moments. Making the call cements the relationship and gives you the chance to find out if there's potential for you both to do business together. Top tip, avoid committing a networking crime by making sure you follow up. The usual excuse of failing to follow up include, number 1, they won't remember me. Number 2, I'm too busy. Number 3, I don't want to appear pushy. This is normally my style. Number 4, I've lost their contact details. Number 5, I'm frightened of the gatekeeper. Remember, you are an expert in your field and they need your help, or you have seen the chance of a possible partnership or collaboration. Adopt a more positive mental attitude. You are following up to share your knowledge and explore possibilities to develop their business, not to sell to reach your targets. If your new connection is waiting for your call and you don't make it, there are serious consequences. It's likely they'll They'll think you're not trustworthy, that you are unreliable, and that you don't keep your promises. I'll share one experience with you. There was one time I was working in Singapore as the director of sales of a hotel. And we have a very domineering CEO. When he asks you to come back, he wants you to come back. He don't care what happened. So me being new at the post and also in a new place, I was summoned back. I will use the word summoned back because, like I say, he don't take no for an answer. And I already in the process of meeting the client. So what can I do? I had to cancel my appointment at the last moment, even though it was in front of the receptionist. And in the end, the next day I got, how do I use the word? I was bombarded for canceling the appointment, which he demanded that I did. So that took quite a shock. It was a shock for me, it was a shock. So how do you handle cases like this? To listen to your CEO who is responsible for you, or to carry on with the appointment? Remember, this is something you have to prepare and face. I faced this when I just started out. So in a very new career, in a very new place. And I believe I have made a mistake of listening to the CEO. I should have tell him, no, I cannot go back. You can punish me or you can school me later on. But because I made an appointment with someone who can be our potential customer, I rather keep the appointment and face the consequences later. Obviously, then I wasn't that wise. Okay, there are also potential damage to reputation or organization. Every time they see the company logo or hear it mentioned, they will think there's an organization that isn't worth dealing with. I met a really nice guy from there. He promised to call, but let me down at the first hurdle. I will go further. I believe not following up is the worst than going networking in the first place. In the case of Emma, she may have never heard of your company before, but now she has, and every time it will be negative reminder. She could mention it to others. What's more, are you prepared to waste all the time you invested last week? Oh, and finally, what happens if you meet her soon? Your credibility is lost, and bearing in mind you are part of a bigger organization. So too is the credibility of the organization. It's sad to say the world of business is a desert of unreliability. When you do things, when you say you do it, you are rare and oasis in that desert. So beware of not calling, not only if it's likely the relationship will falter, but also other people will lose faith in you and perhaps your company. Before you make the call, remember the 3 key steps when building relationship. Number 1, knowing. Number 2, liking. Number 3, trusting. You got to know the client at the networking event. So step 1 is tick off. And you got on well, so you might be on your way to ticking step 2 off as well. But if you don't make the call, there will be no trust from the start. As you're looking at the phone, you are imagining all the negatives and feeling nervous. Just think, you promised to call. Emma has agreed to take your call and she is expecting your call. Furthermore, do you genuinely believe you can help her? If the answer is yes, then you must call. Here are some ways to reaffirm the initial connection with a new prospect. Number 1, did they show any doubts about their current suppliers? Number 2, did you get on well at the event? Number 3, did they agree to you getting in touch again? You must really remember. Making the call is simply continuing the conversation you had when you first met. And which you don't like hearing no. No is the second best answer after yes. One of the worst things in our life is uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen. When you make the call and they say no, that's it. You know where you stand. What's the worst that's going to happen? Right, what's the worst that's going to happen? You are simply phoning to arrange a meeting. If it is relevant to see if and how you may be able to help. You are not going to start the selling process. If they say no to the meeting, then that's okay. And that's the worst that can happen. They say no. So shrug and move on. Preparing the call, as with every success in life, is all in the planning. So let's start by making time to properly plan this phone call. Give yourself 30 minutes. It might seem a lot, but don't worry. You might only need 2 minutes, but at least there's more time if you need it. You just don't know where the conversation will go. So it's best to be prepared for every eventuality. Now you created physical space and time space. That's a good start. Have a look at Emma's business card or wherever you wrote the notes after you met. Reacquaint yourself with the information, her job title, the company, etc. Now, what do you know about the company? Always have a look on the internet to see if you can find out any extra information. You might find out how big the company is, if they won any awards, and the sort of price they have, and any kind of activities they are linked with, such as sponsorship. If there's something you spot, say they sponsor the local rugby team and you're a fan, that's going to make the meeting easier. You can't arrive and start talking business immediately. Even then, the small talk is key to the building of relationship. But for the phone call, taking the rugby team again, you could check their latest score, which will be more relevant small talk. Next, get your diary ready to check you can make that meeting. And if you're going to take someone else with you to the meeting, it's also worth having access to their diary too. Be prepared for their question. Now, how about preparing answers for some of the questions she bound to ask? How do you reply if Emma says, why should we do business with your firm? Try not to be the same as everyone else spotting the usual sales speech. We are the best in town, been going for over 30 years, give a really personal service, and we are expert in the field you require. And of course, we are reliable well most of the time. You heard it, been there, done it, so you know it doesn't work. So what is your pitch deck? Okay, get ready a few. This is the same as everyone else and don't actually differentiate you at all. Being in existence for 30 years is, please excuse me, and irrelevant. Yeah, true. People don't care about your past. They only care about their future and how you can add value to it. Instead, say something like, we got on really well that other evening, Emma, and I believe I and my team can help you achieve what you are aiming to do. When you dial that number, there are 4 main scenarios that could occur. Scenario number 1, no one answered, is engaged, or you're trying the fax number because you're so nervous. Well, you're saved by the bell because fax no longer available. I don't think anyone here use fax anymore. I mean, here in Malaysia. Keep trying. If you don't get through on the day you promised, send an email to Emma saying you tried. It doesn't matter desperately if you don't get through. What is most important is that she knows you tried. If you get no response, you should plan which day are you going to try again. You need to have the ready for the email, so she knows when to expect it next. Don't worry if it doesn't suit her because she'll probably let you know when it's better if he replies your email. You see, I've been trying to keep in touch with Jackie in US, but we don't seem to find the same time because I'm busy in the day. She also busy in the day, and we have time difference, which is midnight. And just to meet up for a talk is still difficult, even though there are dates that we are decided. But it's either she's busy or I'm busy. But I wish, yeah, I should send her an email to just say hello. Though we are not business partner or anything, but it's good to have a friend anytime. Scenario 2, you might get her voicemail. Say your name slowly and clearly. When you're nervous, people tend to blur their name and the listener may not hear it. You want Emma to hear someone who is confident and upbeat, not someone who is nervous and hesitant. After all, she may be placing her future in your hand. Remind her where you met and that you promised to call today. Say you will call again on either Friday or next Monday. You may also wish to say, Emma, as an alternative, I'll leave you a direct dial. Are you prepared to also to leave your mobile? The easier it is for Emma or any other prospect to contact you, the better. Do ensure you leave your number slowly. You know how irritating it is when people leave you a number and you have to replay the message 3 times to decipher it. Well, you are safe again. Use the WhatsApp. But surprisingly, some of them don't have WhatsApp. So you send them a message. I'm still trying to discover how come some of the numbers do not have WhatsApp. It's either they block it for personal reason or some other. The other scenario that you can face about sending a WhatsApp is they have deregistered their number from the so-called yellow pages, so you cannot get the number. So when you got the number, keep it and record it immediately as many times as possible. Scenario 3, you might speak to the receptionist and the secretary. This is probably the reason why most people don't make the call. But think about your gatekeeper, whether an assistant receptionist or secretary. If I were to ask you about that, I bet you'll say they are very nice people, friendly and always ready to help. After all, they are often the first contact when people call, so they represent the first impression of the company. The reason these people have developed this reputation for behaving like a club bouncer is often because of the way they are treated. Aggressive behavior creates a defensive wall, hence the gatekeeper. All you have to do is treat these people with respect and courtesy, and you'll end up getting help with your goal of speaking to Emma or her equivalent. Actually, it's very easy to get through the gatekeeper unless the boss have left very strict instruction. But then again, most of the time they are pretty nice. They just say, sorry, my boss do not want or the appointment, or my boss, they will give very nice and very good reason that you feel you don't feel rejected. So you can ask nicely, or maybe you want to give it a try by saying, if you don't mind, you do me a favor, you talk to your boss, see, just give me 5 minutes of his time if you can. If not, do you mind if I send him an email, you ask him or you request that he have a look at my email? I'll be grateful just for that. I think that is good enough. If they really don't want to see you, there's nothing much you can do. Even you give difficult time to the receptionist, she also cannot be doing anything because it's an instruction from the boss. So be considerate when you are talking to them. Okay. Let's say the conversation thing is, okay, here is what you might happen if you call. These days you often hear, good morning, Preston Printing Company, Avril speaking. How can I help you? There is only one word I'd like you to focus on. Avril is the name that you should concentrate on speaking to. I want this dialogue to become familiar now. Ryan was saying, good morning, Avril. Please, may I speak to Emma? Avril will ask, who is it, please? Brian will reply, it's Brian Campbellton from the Professional Services Company. Then Avril will ask, can you tell me what is regarding? Then Brian will reply, yes, I met Emma last week at the Premier Networking event. We were in the middle of a conversation. I promised to call her today and she is expecting my call. So there is your script for the gatekeeper. The two things can happen. First of all, she puts you through. However, maybe Emma's on the phone, not in or in a meeting. If that's the case, she will ask if she can take a message, put you through to Emma's secretary, Mary, or her voicemail. If Emma is unavailable and you are offered all three alternatives, I like the idea of starting to build a relationship with the PA or secretary. That's what I normally do. My second choice is leaving a message on her voicemail. Finally, ask if you can leave a message with Avril herself. When you're talking to a busy switchboard operator, you're not going to build rapport. And in bigger company, the chances of your prospect having a close relationship with the front desk is small. Whoever you leave the message with, the message should be to say you call and that you'll call again. This is where you can slip up. So have a prearranged time when you are going to call again, and don't give up. If you feel the PA or the receptionist is amendable, ask, please, can you help me? If you were me, when do you think is the best time would be to call back? The PA is more likely to know the answer rather than a receptionist at a busy switchboard. Nowadays, it could be different because people don't use PA so much, don't use secretary so much, but they use a lot of front desk because one-to-one is becoming a trend for the future. So it's best to leave a message and an email to follow up in this current situation. So you have covered not getting through, getting voicemail, and the gatekeeper. What's next? The getting through to Emma. Scenario number 4. You actually get through to Emma. What to say, the script. If you're nervous or you don't know the other person very well, a phone call can be difficult. You may try to say too much at once. You may speak over one another, but keep calm and it will be fine. Try to remember something you learned from that event. Did they mention they were going away? Ask how the trip went. The fact that you remembered that will impress them. Don't ask if it's a good time. If you're calling a mobile, the advice here is different. But in all likelihood, Emma will not be sitting there waiting for you to call. She will have things to do, and asking her a question like that gives her an option to rush you. You might want to thank her for taking the call if you are put through the screening process. However, if you sense that she's swamped, suggest that you call again. If you sense that she's swamped, suggest that you call again. If she's genuinely busy, it's not a good time to have this first conversation. So aim to get permission to call her on a day that is acceptable to her. Remember the aha moment. It's vital that you reintroduce this at the stage of the follow-up. After you do the small talk, rather than just launch straight into, I like to arrange a meeting, consider saying the following. Remember last week you said you're thinking of buying a company and your present advisor weren't used to handling such matters? She will hopefully say yes. To which you can answer, I was calling to see if we can arrange a get together for me to find out more about your company and see how I and my company can perhaps help. Don't think sell, think help. And if you want is to meet, explore ideas and see if you can move the relationship to the next phase. To ensure that you get to business quickly, you notice the aha moment, and now you're doing your best to help. It also means if it's a no, you won't be wasting each other's time because you're both on the same page. Here's my pipeline again. Is this called the list to the meeting? At the meeting, you do the business, but first you need to make the call. Remember, make the call. The possible responses. So you phone up and ask for a meeting. There are basically 5 likely responses to your suggestion. The first one is she says, yes, let's meet. However, things don't always go as you wish. So let me arm you ready for the other 4 replies you're going to get. The second possible response is, can you send me some information first before we meet? You will need to spend a few moments here to ascertain what information is required. Don't ask her what information she wants. She won't know. Just ask questions about a particular issue, take notes, then agree to send her something. Imagine you are actually at a face-to-face meeting and ask similar question in the phone call. Ask permission to call back in about 10 days. Ensure your email or letters refers primarily to her issues and how you believe you can help. Don't talk about yourself, how big your company is, and how brilliant you are. She's not interested. All she wants to know is what's in it for her. Give away free and valuable advice with a number of options. You will write something like, there are 3 or 4 ways of dealing with this, and then list them. I repeat, don't be afraid to give advice away free. You are fishing here for a big catch. It needs some big bait. Explain that at a meeting you can explore each one fully and offer advice when you sit together. Ensure you mention the fact that you have agreed to call her on a specific day at the end of your email or letter. You might think they are fobbing you off, but until you send information and follow up, you will never know. Prayer time for Malaysia, evening prayer time. The third scenario might go like this. It's not actually me you need. Joanne deals with that sort of thing. In this situation, say to Emma, if you were me, Emma, how would you move forward from here? Perhaps we could have a 3-way meeting for you to introduce me to Joanne, and we could take it from there. At that point, you know whether she's serious about moving the relationship forward or not. By the way, if this situation ever arises and they say it's so and so who deals with that, and you haven't heard of that person, ensure you find out what role that person holds. The fourth possible response is, on reflection, I don't think what you have to offer is for us at the moment. Don't take this as rejection. If you got on well at the event and she was happy to take your call, it's not personal. She has rejected the offer of your services, not you personally. Failure? No. It would have been a failure if you hadn't made the call. Therefore, establish if that means no now or no never. If you have built rapport when you meet, people rarely say no, never. If that is the case, ask you can keep in touch, and depending on the response, suggest you contact them again later in the year or in the spring. If you don't get your meeting, ensure you invite Emma to some event. The fifth possible response is that they want to chat it through there and then. It's unlikely this will happen, but you should be prepared in case it happens. Don't get nervous and end the phone call. Compose yourself and start to ask questions as if you are in the actual meeting. If you are giving advice, explain that it's free and with no obligations. Often they will be grateful for this. But if you are speaking on the phone, don't forget to arrange an actual meeting to discuss more details. Chapter 14. Using LinkedIn to create more business and career opportunity. LinkedIn started out as a job website, and even today, more than a third of its income comes from HR departments and recruitment agencies using its various premium functions for placing the right people in the right job. The conversation between Brian and Will. Brian saying, Will, you tell me to go networking and now you want me to spend time doing this social media stuff too. When do I get to see the family and sleep? Will, yes, Brian, I could sympathize, but won't. Think of all the hours you spend attending events that really aren't productive. I'm talking about the travel time and the time you spend catching up with personal friends about the local gossip. All I ask you to consider is a way to find, shall we say, 2 hours a week Maybe whilst you are having a coffee or lunch to look at LinkedIn. The etiquette when using LinkedIn. Everyone knows how to behave at the business events, but I'm often surprised how the same standard of behavior is not always prevalent when people network using LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn is very broad. If you say it's not true, it all depends on what you are looking at. If you say you are saying this person not good based on what criteria you are saying it, so what they have put in the LinkedIn is actually all their experiences they have went through. But I have not seen, or have I? I don't think I see people really rate themselves to be 100% good. Normally, I don't really do things or believe 100% thing. Even for myself, I don't use 100% because there's always room for improvement. But when you look at the LinkedIn, you also must look at the network that this person do. So it will also justify what kind of person you're looking at and from which angle. Here are some suggestions. Whenever you invite someone to become your level 1 connection, always, I repeat, always send them a personal invitation. Never default the message LinkedIn itself gives you. I always send personal message. But the personal message also same as what they have written there. But still, I prefer to type it out, like say, thank you, and my name is what. You know, sometimes they just let you choose the word. But that is also what word you are using to introduce yourself. So nowadays, I tend to change my content so that it doesn't look like a monologue that I copy. I'm not sure about you, but I feel it also increases the level of thoughts thinking when writing a message. Number 2, when someone invites you to connect and you view their profile, find it interesting but can't remember who they are, send them a message asking why they want to connect, including an apology that in fact you may have met previously. Number 3, when someone accepts your invitation, always send a message back thanking them and offer to introduce them to your other contacts if the situation is right. This one I didn't do, I must learn. When you accept an invitation, again, thank them, then offer the broker introductions if you can. And also, I noticed LinkedIn nowadays, they just let you follow. They don't really let you connect. Number 5, if you are the advice giving business, consider giving away free advice when you are connected. I have hyperlinked article about helping people enhance their knowledge of LinkedIn. I live by the mantra, the more you tell, the more you sell. Oh, I live by the mantra. I'm so sorry, pronounced wrongly. Your next job, ensure your profile is up to date and reflect your knowledge, experience, and expertise. Put yourself in the global shop window. You never know who is seeking you out. Avoid cold callings to meet new prospects. This one really not working. I don't like to take it, but sometimes I'm thinking, yeah, they're also looking for someone to engage. So let's listen. So once a while, I will pick up cold calls just to give some energy for them. But some of the cold calls are made by people who are, I will say, don't know how to say good things when they are rejected. Even though you reject them nicely, they can become very nasty. Those people should be banned from doing cold callings. Does this conversation between you and your client, Joe, resonate? Joe, thanks so much for what you have done for me. That's very kind of you. Please don't forget to mention me to others who you think have got the same issue. They will normally reply, oh, don't you worry, I won't forget. I really am grateful. And off Joe goes, full of good intention and bohemian. But what happens next? She gets in the car or back to the office, back to the phone calls, email, and everyday issues we all have. Before the day is out, she has forgotten you. Not intentionally, it's just that you're now not too high up on her list, her to-do list. Drum roll, this is where LinkedIn can be invaluable. When you have asked them to introduce you to others, it's really rather pointless. It's like saying to someone, we must get together, so nothing definite, nothing focused. There is 10 action points, which I find very useful, which you need to adjust to the current situation. I will put into the description list so that you can check it out. Other proactive activities using LinkedIn. Construct a targeted prospect list. Use advanced features like text network sorting option and LinkedIn contacts to group prospects who have similar buyer characteristics. Download your connection database to an Excel and similar database. You can then filter and sort the names for use outside LinkedIn. Consider upgrading to one of the premium LinkedIn accounts to receive additional profile sorting and saving options. I have never even thought about this because I only started LinkedIn recently. I've been a member of LinkedIn quite some time, but I just don't know how to use it until the pandemic hit me. And when I went for digital marketing course, we were encouraged. Then we went for a lot of courses. We are encouraged to use the LinkedIn. And I just noticed that how wonderful it is to be in the LinkedIn because the people there are refined and they have specific intention of being in the LinkedIn, not to sell, but to share, to discuss, and it's just a wonderful place. I'm not sure about whether you can download the database because the Data Protection Act is on. During the time the book is written, the Data Protection Act was not that stringent, I would say that, because I also have no idea when Data Protection Act was enforced fully. Start to link with the present and past friends, work colleagues, and university mates, etc. My advice is to only link with people you know. The more contacts you have at level 1, the more level 2 contacts you'll have. Until LinkedIn came along, you never knew who your contacts had in their network, but you do now. So make the best use of your network. There are 2 key groups of importance in your business life. People with whom you have relationship already, and people you like to build a relationship with from scratch. The second group can be approached cold call, but why would you do this if someone you know and with whom you have a good relationship can make the introduction? Link in with others in your company to ensure cross-selling occurs more and your profile is raised internally. If you think LinkedIn important, set aside time each week to work on it. Maybe 2 sessions of 45 minutes. Join groups relevant to your career and job. Contribute your knowledge and expertise with advice, questions, and articles in those groups. Comment other people's view. On a weekly basis, update the status box shown on your homepage with relevant business news and advice. You can always hyperlink with other people's articles. Learn how to use the advanced search function so you seek out key decision makers and potential clients. Chapter 15, meeting again. Now for the 8th and final stage of networking pipeline, meetings. This is everything you've been working towards. You accepted the invitation, you meet some nice people, you found some potential interesting opportunities, and now you are having a meeting to talk it through. Those worries you had about networking events being a waste of time were unfounded, and this meeting could lead to even more opportunities for you and your organization. Time to congratulate yourself. Be prepared. Now you've got the meeting in the bag. It's important you plan and prepare properly. Just like before going into the event and before making the phone call, it's imperative you prepare. Number one, when and where you are meeting, who is going to be with you, are you taking material with you, what do you want to achieve? But before you start crafting an all singing, all dancing PowerPoint presentation with a history of your company, some pictures of the offices and details of similar deals you have done, stop. Avoid the classic mistake of focusing on you and your company. Remember, your client doesn't care about your company's past. Who works there, its office, and the technical staff. All they want to know is how you can help them. And the only way you can do that is to prepare to ask intelligent questions and to answer any questions they are going to ask. There'll be a time to explain your knowledge and experience later. And even then, it's wise to keep it brief. Going back to your meeting with Emma, you're already done. Lots of research before the call. So reacquaint yourself and Amy, your assistant, with Emma's situation. Simply ask relevant questions, take note, listen attentively, and make some proposal. One point I don't recall reading is that when you are meeting someone, he did mention about dress code and everything like that. It's best to put on your business attire. If your business attire is a t-shirt and jeans, which is your company trend, then keep it that way. Don't go to people's office in torn, new fashion thing, unless you're a fashion designer and you are showing off the fashion, then okay. It all depends on the business, but if you're talking about corporate, glass ceiling kind of thing, especially when it's industrial thing, financial thing, real estate, anything which is hardcore, then you should think about dress code before you go. And don't wear too short. Also, when you sit down, the skirt can go until your laps. That is not nice, okay? Dress appropriately, I should say. People don't want to be sold to. You hate the process, so don't do it. You did your selling last week at the event. Here's a better way to go about it. When you and Amy get to their premises, be alert from the moment you arrive. You may pick up some useful information by just observing, which again shows you are genuinely interested. It's likely you'll keep waiting for a few moments. Ensure you glance around the reception. There may be award plaques on the wall or pictures of some of their products. Any last-minute information you can gather can only be useful. In the meeting, once you're in the meeting, everyone has shaken hands. No doubt tea or coffee will be served. A little small talk will be good. It might involve something you have just seen or maybe something in the office. Family photos, certificates, even sport trophies are always simple topics to mention. If you're struggling for a topic, go back to the networking event. How about it was a real good event the other evening, wasn't it, Emma? You shouldn't just launch into right, let's get down to business within 2 minutes of arriving. Avoid repeating yourself though, so don't go harping about last holiday if you have already spoken about it. Having been through the pleasantries, they will expect you to start selling. Don't. Remember the aha moment. What was it she said? Use it in your introduction. How about something like, thank you both for seeing us. Last week, Emma, you said, and here insert what she did say about the prompted your aha moment. So tell us more about the company. What exactly you would like to happen, and let's see how we can help you. It's really that simple. Give your client full command over radio station. WIIFM. What's in it for me? The spotlight has to be on her and the business. You and Amy are just the sideshow. Your thinking have to have a modern approach. What's in it for you? Don't sell, let them buy. As you proceed through the meeting, ask yourself, is there a problem that needs a solution? Is there something required and are they unable to find a solution by themselves? Is there a commitment to change things and move forward? Are they in a position where they are finally ready to take action? Are they willing to invest in a solution? Have they the time, inclination, and money to do what it takes to make the change? Can they picture the future and imagine the outcome they are aiming to achieve? If you get positive signs on all of the above and you believe you and your organization as a whole can help them, then you can go into the presentation of your services. You want to assure them that you can help to solve their problem and produce the results they want. But don't dwell on this part. You don't need to do a hard sell. Your word of mouth marketing largely got the job done last week at the event. Of course, briefly explain how you approach their situation and perhaps provide a few examples of past successes, such as testimonials, but keep it brief and relevant to Emma and her company. Put in plain words, as briefly as possible, what you can offer, how the process will work, and what is likely to happen. Also explain the kind of result to expect. Don't be afraid to ask. If they have any question, this is vital to ensure they understand what you are discussing and check any reservations. In fact, ask who's got the first question. If you're discussing money or terms, name them and see what they say. If they're silent, don't attempt to break it. They could just be thinking. The actions of effective and confident networkers. So you see, networking doesn't have to be scary. At first, as with any new activities, it may take a while to feel 100% comfortable doing it. But as long as you follow the process I've shown you and approach networking with a new positive mindset, it's amazing how quickly you will notice the changes. I heard this recently and it's relevant to any new we face in life. Do the things you fear and the fear will disappear. Well, I was afraid of facing camera, especially like what I'm doing now. But I guess after 100, well, how many videos I've done, I am very comfortable facing the virtual talk or even presentation. But like real life, I still have my jittery moment when I start with any presentation. It's only normal. So just accept it. Practice, practice, and practice. That's the only thing one can do. You perfect your act every time. So I hope this does help those who are facing some difficulty. The action, okay, do the things and okay. Always bear in mind the following: confident and effective networkers. Okay, this is what we'll have said. One, are awake, alive, and alert and recognize opportunities everywhere. Two, see all new contacts as potential business prospect. Three, have a giving mentality. Four, make the first move when meeting new people. 5, have an interesting opening statement explaining how they help their clients. 6, understand the power of remembering names. 7, are good listener and let the other people do most of the talking. 8, know that small talk is the most important talk. 9, ask for people's business card. 10, follow up and are persistent without pestering. Now, part 3, chapter 16, maintaining relationships. During these challenging times, people are so busy that once the meeting, call, or transaction is finished, they are off to something else and you will, more often than not, be forgotten. When they do decide to do new or more business with you, you want to be their first choice. Therefore, it's important your prospect remain aware of you and current clients and customers come back for more. There's more to business than just a transaction. Building a relationship helps you establish a bond. Some clients are even willing to pay more for a product and or service if they have a personal connection with you who present your company. People buy people before they buy the product or service. Following up and maintaining relationships starts with a dilemma. Those crossroads may be familiar. We came across them when we discussed making a follow-up call after having met someone at an event. But let me reiterate, you are following up to see how your expertise and knowledge might add value to your prospect or existing client's business. When you think of business development being about helping other businesses, the follow-up and keeping in touch aspect of relationship building should allay any fears you may be taking the left path. You may have taken the left path. Here are various suggestions to maintain those relationships. Keep in touch. If clients and customers recently placed an order or you provided a service to ask them for feedback, showing you care about what they think speaks volume about your commitment to them. On some occasions, the comment won't always be great. You need this feedback to ensure you get it right next time. When you put it right and give them some valuable extras by way of an apology, it can often strengthen the relationship. If they have not done business with you in a while, remind them you are still there and available to help them. Every so often, I send a quick note to say something to the effect of, hope all is well with you. Let me remind you of how I am still helping clients. It's very quick. Or some other current trend that you might use. I then send a couple of relevant articles I've written with their logo on, showing our relationship isn't all about the sale. Pick up the phone. This seems to be a going out of fashion, but if most of your communication takes place via email, it's so important to pick up the phone occasionally to touch base. Personal interaction is still critical in this virtual world. Branch out. You may have a particular target market in mind, but to reach it doesn't mean that your network is with just that group. Find groups that don't mirror your target market and build relationship with their members. That is the benefits of networking. People you meet know people who might be future clients. Become a resource. Give without remembering. Receive without forgetting. Resonates soundly for me. This is from Elizabeth Babisco. Always look for opportunities to support someone, even if they don't always mean you'll get an immediate return on your effort. Broker introductions, help with an event or offer suggestions. When that person or someone they know are looking for a product or service that you offer, you are more likely to be foremost in their mind. The more you get to know them, the more you'll be able to offer assistance by knowing their needs. Networking has been around since time immemorial, but it was only in the late 20th century the word came into vogue. In 1985, in California, Dr. Ivan Misner set up BNI. This is the second time I hear this being mentioned. The one was mentioned by Dash yesterday. It's called Business Network International, a marketing referral business. The whole objective is for the members who meet weekly for breakfast to refer business to each other. Their tagline is givers gain, meaning the more referrals you get the long run, the more you should gain. Great theory, but one that in the real world doesn't always work. However, it worked for me. Having been a member of a few years, a fellow member helped me move from accountancy to what I do now. Write a note. Adding the personal touch of a handwritten thank you note show clients you appreciate them for giving you business. There are not enough acknowledgements today, I find. I know for me it is vital. I thank anyone who gives me advice, introduce me to new business, or writes to me saying how much they enjoyed my training or presentation. Tailor your approach. Your customers varies in workload, style of communication, and desire to share information. So your approach should be as diverse. If your customer don't appreciate you just stopping by, then call in advance to set up a time or invite them out for coffee. Your approach needs to be genuine and within your comfort zone, or it may backfire on you. If you're uncomfortable with face-to-face interaction, pick up the phone or just send an email. Speed stunts. When you get an inquiry after an event or you have promised to action something, do it very quickly. Put it at the top of your to-do list. It shows your commitment to the relationship and show what a reliable and trustworthy person you are. And so builds confidence in you and your company. Also, if an issue arises, take action and make it your priority to resolve it immediately. Sometimes errors and how we resolve them provide an exceptional opportunity to show our commitment to a customer. Take a bad situation and make it positive. Listen, listen, and listen. Your customer may provide clues that might be your portal to providing a personal touch. If they indicate that their child is heading off to their first year of university or they are taking a long-awaited holiday, jot these things down on a calendar so you can ask how things went when you do a follow-up call. Or they might state that it was their birthday last week. Put that on your calendar so the following year you can send a birthday greeting. Lots of social networks such as Facebook, LinkedIn, and Plexo. Well, I haven't heard of Plexo. Will prompt you when it is a fellow member's birthday. Building any type of relationship takes time, whether it's a personal or business relationship. It's an essential part of your business to keep maintaining and grow your customer base. A part of your daily to-do list. Make a point to connect with one client every day. You may be surprised at the impact, which reminds me now, we have Clubhouse. And I was just in discussion. So to get yourself connected and know the market, Clubhouse is a good place. You don't even have to talk a lot. You just attend the event and listen to them. They are very good. Part 4 is the final word, which is, I think I will finish it off because not much. I promise. 2 more chapters. You can listen at your own good time. Part 4, final words at chapter 17. Why networking matters? Are you an all-round modern-day professional or technical expert? You are when you know your subject matter intimately, you understand what others and your clients are trying to achieve, you want to provide your clients with advice or product to ensure they are ahead of their opposition. You show genuine interest by asking effective questions and listening empathetically. You want to build a long-term relationship and don't just sell services to meet your own goal. You realize that all the IT and web technology will never replace the importance of face-to-face contact. Even in the pandemic, people still want to meet face-to-face. That's why we have this virtual thing. You understand that your relationship is about creating value for your client, not just paying lip service to it. You do what you say you're going to do, and you do it when you say you're going to do it. Remember these 8 important points. That's a good start, but in today's competitive climate, it's equally important that you bring in business opportunity of your own. You offer services to clients and prospects which perhaps they didn't know about. You introduce clients, colleagues, or other professionals outside your sphere of expertise who can offer additional advice and support. This one I do very well. I do this very well. You just need to ask me. In short, today you need to contribute to the area of business development. This can be directly or indirectly depending on your role. After all, you should be proud of the organization you represent and want it to succeed. You are undoubtedly an expert and authority in your chosen topic, and as a consequence, feel safe, secure, and comfortable in providing technical advice. You are in control and feel protected by your knowledge. But when it comes to leaving the office and going out to attract more business, do you feel equally outfit and safe? Your future in their hands. Even today, most of your business comes from recommendations, referrals, and existing clients coming back for more. This means you have a good name, provide a good service. That's good news. But what it also means is that others control the speed of growth of your client and fee-based and other types of business opportunities. If you are satisfied with this, then there's no need to make change. However, if that is not the case, you need to follow the advice in this book so that you can become more proactive in seeking new business opportunities. Risk still remaining within your own comfort zone. It will require a great shift in your thinking, but what you actually do will alter very little. It will be those little differences that will revolutionize your approach to and your successes with business development. Wow, I got so many things to do now. So excited to start. Change your thinking. There are many people who consider selling and marketing as essential, dishonest, and manipulative. If that's how you think, the chances are you will resist change. This resistance is expressed in sentiments such as, I don't do selling and marketing. I feel uncomfortable talking about myself and blowing my own trumpet. I sound phony when I talk about the benefit I offer. I'm not the marketing type. I can't sell myself. It's no wonder professionals and technicians struggle with marketing and feel uncomfortable when talking to the prospective clients about the service. Business development becomes a necessary evil. The best way to get past this understandable feeling is to look at business development and the marketing of your services from a new perspective. The most important change to make is to begin to think in terms of helping create value so both parties benefit as opposed to selling. If you have knowledge in an area useful to your client or prospective client, tell yourself, I can add value to this person's business or personal circumstances. I can add value to your personal circumstances. That I am very confident. That way you won't feel you are imposing, but quite the opposite. Unless you are in the fraud and rip-off business, the value of your advice will most probably far outweigh the fee you charge. If not, there I suggest you are in the wrong job. When you are looking for alliances, joint ventures, and partnership, everyone's win. Networking and business development. Networking is one of the most important facets of business development. Naturally, the more people you meet and the more relationship you build, the more likely you are to create more business opportunity. But do not think of networking as a means to subtly manipulate the people you meet, coaxing them into buying your services through shameless boasting about the quality of your company. This is the trap, especially with this IT AI generation. People like to see authenticity. Be authentic. If you don't know, say you don't know. Be authentic to your clients as authentic to yourself when you do presentation or when you do something. That might not bring you business, but in long term, it will bring you a lot of values. The essence of networking is the building of relationship. As we saw in chapter 13, 3 fundamental steps need to take place. Getting to know people, getting them to like you, getting them to trust you. It's a vice versa thing. You have to like them in order for them to like you. So I think you have to decide. The first two steps can take no time at all. We all know about first impression, which although not always accurate, tend to become long-lasting. The trust takes much longer to build. We have to earn trust, and that can only be done through the investment of time and by keeping in touch. There's a little argument that people buy people before they buy services and products. In fact, I believe we all buy the person first. The service they have to offer second, and the company itself last. When you are out networking, don't think about selling your company, its service, or its product. Simply sell yourself. When you do this well, you are the gateway through which business will come. Whatever role or expertise you have, when you have an impression and someone has a need for the type of services your company offers, you become the initial point of contact. In fact, all of a sudden, you are head of business development at that juncture. We go to networking events simply to create a platform to start or re-establish relationship. That's all. Once the relationship is in place, it's amazing how quickly the business opportunity grows. But I hate networking. Let's leave the networking word now. It conjures up too many negative images. Let's talk about attending business-related events. These manifest themselves in many different formats. They include dinners, conference, seminars, exhibition, corporate hospitality, one-to-one lunches, cocktail receptions, sporting or cultural events, social events of any nature, even formal networking clubs. If where you go relates to work in some form or another, then you are potentially networking. That is building or reinforcing relationship. Natural networkers do it anytime, any place, anywhere. Even at party weddings, people, many men talk business quite early on in a conversation. In fact, some men only have two topics of conversation, business and sport. Socializing, party, and networking. Most people like socializing and partying, but struggle with the third, networking. However, all three types of events are virtually the same. At each, we meet people, some we know and some we don't. We eat, we drink, we converse, we laugh, we start or continue to build relationship, we talk, we listen, and we have general social interaction. Even when you nod your head, you are acknowledging. You can have fun, pleasure, and excitement at all three. So is there a difference? Yes, one important difference being the amount of alcohol you drink. In most travel events, we always have this problem. But I guess we all wiser up. Representing yourself and or your organization at a business-related event, get intoxicated is unlikely to be good for business. It all depends on what business you're in. However, the most important difference is that a business-related event, you should be actively seeking your aha moment. What is aha moment? The fundamental reason we go to business-related events is to spot the aha moment. That moment when we hook on to a new piece of information, which we believe could be beneficial to the development of our business. The aha moment comes when someone says, prompting you to think, I think you can help me. I can introduce you to someone. That's a useful information about our competitors. The new technology knowledge I wasn't aware of. That person isn't happy in the job. We have vacancy. The sort of new role I like. They are not happy with the existing advisor. We are looking for new supplier for those services or products. These are your opening. Remember, it could also be an existing client who says something prompting you to think, there could be more work here, or even more importantly, they are not 100% happy with our services. We better correct that. Ultimately, if you don't spot an aha moment of any sort, or worse still, you don't even look for one, going to a business connected event will really be a waste of your precious personal time. Time you could give to family, the gym, your hobby, or simply spend time relaxing at home. The number game. Networking is ultimately all based on numbers. The more events we go to, the more people we get to know and the more aha moments we hear. Many businesses use the phrase sales pipeline in their marketing and business development as a measure of potential new business to be done in the future. The pipeline starts with an initial meeting with a prospect, moving through a series of sales processes, and end with a successful or sometimes unsuccessful conclusion. Even if it's unsuccessful, you are successful in a way as the connector. It only takes time for you to build. In turn, the networking pipeline described throughout this book will help to create considerably more of those first meetings. This is the networking pipeline. It finishes with the first meeting linking nicely to the finals, the first step in the sales pipeline. It's all with the number of business-related invitations you accept. When you decline 19 out of 20, your pipeline will be pretty thin. If you accept 19 out of 20, it's no surprise the opportunities for growing your business increase dramatically. Don't get me wrong, we are not expected to give you a whole life to your job. But if you do want more business generated by your own efforts, decline fewer invitations that you do at the present. The heart of this book deals with networking life of Brian, charting his growth into master networker. But as Brian will testify, the first lesson to learn about networking is if you don't go, you'll never know. I will not share the image because it's something we'll have taken pain to draw it out. I feel for those that I have shown you in a way is good enough. And I will encourage you to buy this book, because it's very good for you to buy this book. It's indeed very useful. So chapter 18, let's see what chapter 18. I will share chapter 18 in LinkedIn, okay? If I can find his back link, I will put it there. I mean, to be fair, he has taken pain to write this book. So I have read most of it. I guess it's time you buy his book. It's worth all the knowledge, even though the current situation have improved. But in the human-to-human interaction, we'll have put it in perfect order. So thank you. We are at the end of this book, and I'll be reading some other book which I am still looking at, and I'll get back to you next week. I'm taking a rest from reading. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Okay.